Welcome to Duke University's Hillel College Fair session. We are so excited to have you here, virtually with us, and we can't wait to share our love for Duke and its Jewish community with you. My name is Brooke Scheinberg, and I'm going to be your MC for this student-led event. I'm a current Jewish senior at Duke, and yes, I have 3 weeks left, but it's a touchy subject, so I'm going to move on. I'm a math major with a psychology minor, and I've been involved with Jewish life at Duke through what's called the Jewish Learning Fellowship, the Spring Break Roots to Rights trip, and through attending weekly Shabbat services. We know our audience today likely includes both students who heard yesterday good news from Duke about being admitted, and also students who are looking to apply in coming cycles. So we'll kind of have a little bit of everything for hopefully something for everyone today. So firstly, you'll get to hear from Ilana Weisman about Duke admissions, and then you'll hear a little spiel about Jewish life at Duke from our current JSU Vice President, Sophie. And then you'll have the opportunity to just ask us questions about Duke things, Jewish related or not. And you can just type those questions into the chat that'll come directed to me. And then I can kind of hand them off to one of the other Jewish students, to Ilana for about admissions, or to some of the JLD staff who are joining us on this call as well. We'll provide you with whatever answers we can, and no question is too small. So with that, we'll get started by having the rest of our panel introduce themselves. So I'm going to hand it off to Yoni first.
Hey everybody, thanks for that introduction, Brooke. My name's Yoni. I'm a junior majoring in psychology with minors in music and chemistry. A little bit about myself. I'm involved in JLD through serving as the vice president for JSU last year, which is the Jewish Student Union. I also serve as the IM sports coordinator for Follow for Hunger, and I also was part of the first year council, which is something that maybe Sophie will talk about later because she knows a lot about that.
Okay, I just want to easier for me to.
Yeah, if Sophie could go next, I think that's a nice lead in.
Yeah, thank you, Yoni. So my name is Sophie Barry. I'm a junior. I'm also a psych major, and my minors are in Spanish and cultural anthropology. I'm, as Brooke said, the current Jewish Student Union vice president. Last year, I was the Jewish Student Union membership officer, and I was the head of first year council, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and the Jewish first year advisory mentorship program, which I will also touch on later. And I'm just a frequent Shabbat goer and JSU and JLD event attender. So I'm so excited to be here with you all today.
Thank you much, Sophie. I'll hand it over to Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan Crair. I'm a senior. I'm a double major of biology and cultural anthropology with a minor in chemistry. I'm the vice president of J Street U Duke, which is one of our pro-Israel clubs on campus. I also am part of the Shabbat squad who helps plan and help lead the Shabbats every week. And I also went on the alternative spring break program Roots to Rights with Brooke.
Thank you so much. And then I'll hand it to Ilana, our admissions officer.
Hi everyone, my name is Ilana Weisman. I'm a senior admissions officer here at Duke. I'm also an undergraduate alumna. I graduated in 2017. My regional territories are New York and DC. So if there's anyone here from there, I'd be reading your application or already read your application. For those of you who have already been admitted to the class of 2025, Mazel Tov, welcome. For everyone else, I'm excited to get to speak with you a little bit more in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much. And then last but certainly not least, Rabbi Elana.
Thanks, Brooke. Hey, everyone. I'm Rabbi Elana Friedman. I am the campus rabbi for Jewish life at Duke. This is my 6th year here on campus, and I'm thrilled to have you all join us to learn more about Duke and Jewish life at Duke and what it's like to be a Jewish student. And we have such an amazing panel of great students, and Ilana, a former great student as well, who's with us on behalf of admissions. And I'm just so thrilled to be here with all of you. Just as a quick, by way of introduction, I work with our team at Jewish Life at Duke on facilitating a home away from home. Sophie's going to talk a little bit more about Jewish Life at Duke and what we do. But for me personally, I work a lot on the spiritual and religious aspects of our center. So that's obviously observing holidays and Shabbat, kosher dining and the like. And we're also have a robust educational program at Jewish Life at Duke. So a couple of the folks here mentioned the Jewish Learning Fellowship, which is one of our educational programs. We have Roots to Rights, our spring break, alternative spring break program. And we have lots of different opportunities that I co-facilitate with our other staff members to make sure that students are having a intellectually stimulating and interesting Jewish journey and experience. So that's my quick introduction and a little bit of what I do, but of course there's other pieces to it and we'll get into that when we get to the panel. But that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. I think with that, we can hand it over to Ilana to start off our admissions kind of presentation where she can really give you the rundown.
Sure, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So give me a second for technical difficulties. And while I do that, just if y'all have the hand raise option, raise your hand if you are a senior in high school, just so I can see who might be here. I'm talking to. Okay. Couple of you, I recognize at least one name there as being from my territory. Raise your hand if you're a junior. Okay. Looks like most of you just getting started in that whole college search process. What a fun time. I don't say that too sarcastically. It really can be a really great time for self-discovery, learning about what you want, what you're looking for the next few years. And put your hands down. Everybody who's a sophomore or first year in high school, raise your hand, starting really early. Amazing. And any parents or little siblings who are on the couch also looking at the computer. A couple of you. All right, well, thank you all for being here. I'm excited to give you a really quick introduction to who we are as a campus and who we are as a community. Talking about academic life at Duke, social and extracurricular opportunities that students have, and I'll give you a run through the admissions process and financial aid. I'm going to be answering questions later. You're welcome to chat me questions as I talk through, and I'll try to address them, but this is really a brief introduction. This is also the first time I've spoken to a group of students in months. We've been reading applications, trying to get to know students. So forgive me if I'm a little bit rusty, but I hope I'm not the only one talking about Duke tonight. And I know I won't be, because there's no better resource to learn about the vibrant and energetic and incredible Duke community as is from hearing from Duke students. And they're going to tell you exactly what I am, which is that Duke is a place where students come and love to be, where they're supported by their peers and they support their peers. This is the type of place where people walk around wearing Duke t-shirts and wearing Duke blue, where they show up for their friends when they give research presentations, or when their a cappella group is performing, or when they are having a tough day and need somebody to go eat with them at the marketplace over on East Campus. There's a warm and collaborative community. It's not competitive, it's not cutthroat, but it's a place where students are able to find their people, find their community, and explore with that sense of vibrance and energy and Duke spirit. And that sense of energy does start in the classroom. We're an academic school first and foremost. And whether you're studying in our Trinity College of Arts and Sciences or a Pratt School of Engineering, you're going to engage in a rigorous, hands-on, flexible curriculum. There's no set of core classes that every Duke student takes, and you don't declare your major until the end of your sophomore year. And when you do declare your major, about 85% of our students declare more than just one. They might combine majors, minors, or interdisciplinary certificates in areas like biomedical engineering or dance, and public policy and political science, or environmental studies and Jewish studies. Whatever it is that you're interested in exploring, you can do that in the classroom at Duke. And you're exploring interdisciplinary coursework. Classes don't exist in a single silo, but allow you to have real life experience designing things in our first year design course in Pratt, or working in greenhouses in our Trinity College of Arts and Sciences. Maybe you have class meetings on the campus farm, or engage in service learning courses where you spend not just classes in lectures or in seminars, but working in local community organizations. There's an emphasis on learning and experiencing that learning, designing the curriculum to fit the way you want to learn. And you're not navigating that curriculum by yourself, but you're supported by a whole host of faculty members and staff members who are there to make sure that you make the most of your Duke experience. Our faculty members at Duke are really accessible. Some of them live in the dorms with students. Some of them will participate in one of our favorite programs called Flunch, where Duke pays for you to take your professors out to lunch twice a semester. Right now, even though Duke is operating on a hybrid in-person virtual basis, we have a program called vLearn, Virtual Learn, where students can organize a discussion with a professor over Zoom, and then Duke Stores mails them something to remember that conversation by. Faculty members are there to support you. They're there to connect with you inside and outside of the classroom. And they're there to help you explore all there is to do on campus, because there's a lot. When you hear these students talk about what they do, they give you like a list of 3 things. They could go on and paragraph and monologue about all the clubs they're in, all the activities they've done, all the research they've involved in, where they did Duke Engage, where they helped to study away, what they're doing even in an age of a pandemic. Over half of our students will do research. Over half of our students will study abroad. Over 90% of our students will have internships. They have access to spaces like the Duke Leamer Center and the John Hunt Franklin Humanities Institute. They're able to design research projects at the National Museum of Art or join a team-based research project like Vast Connections. If you're interested in puppies, I believe you can talk to Sophie about what it's like to work at puppy kindergarten. My puppy, for example, was declined from puppy kindergarten because he doesn't have any special skills. But students can go work with animals, and students can go and document ancient artifacts at the Rubenstein Library, or students can write policy statements and get funding to bring them to Washington, D.C. Students can take part in programs like Focus, which is a living learning community specifically for first semester students, or Duke Immerse, which is a semester-long deep dive into a topic where students will spend time in the middle of the semester going abroad to do fieldwork or research. That emphasis on discovery and engagement brings students around the world, brings students through their computers or in real life to find new frontiers. But they're mostly doing that while living in our warm and inclusive residential environment on Duke's campus. Duke is a residential campus. We have a 3-year on-campus living requirement, and most students choose to stay on campus all 4 years. Our students live in random dorms with random roommates their first year on East Campus, which is our first year only campus. That builds a sense of camaraderie and community from the get-go. I bet if you ask the students on this page where they lived their freshman year, they're gonna say it was the best dorm. For me, that was Allspa. For others, it might be something different. But that sense of community sticks with you through your 4 years, through the clubs you join, through cheering on 27 different Division I sports teams, through getting involved with the Duke community. It's opportunities to build friendships and know faces and know names and walk around to campus and see people in Duke t-shirts who are thrilled to be there with you. And that's the same thing that you get when you walk around Durham, our hometown. We're in the center of North Carolina, about 2.5 hours from the beach and 2.5 hours from the mountains, located in what we call the Research Triangle. And it's called that because we have one of the highest per capita ratios of PhDs, MD engineers in the world. We're anchored by several research universities, and it's an area that has a lot of opportunity for our students. They can pursue internships at the Research Triangle Park, or go see shows at the Durham Performing Arts Center, or go hiking at the Eno River State Park, or walk around downtown Durham and eat at a host of incredible restaurants and go to 4 farmers markets a week and trivia every single night of the week and never win, because we've also been called the nerdiest city in the country. Durham is a place that's great to be a young person and great to be a college student. And it's not surprising that for the last 6 years, it's been the #1 destination for recent Duke graduates. Our students graduate as critical thinkers and collaborative leaders who are ready to take on challenges in graduate school and industry and beyond. 86% of our students who apply to medical school are admitted on the first try. That goes for 98% of law school applicants and 99% business school applicants. For our students who are looking for jobs right after graduation, 75% are employed on graduation day. And I was one of the 25% who had to wait a little bit longer after I went on Duke's birthright to come home and know that I was going to stay in Durham to live and to work. We say that when you bleed Duke blue, you bleed Duke blue for life. You're a part of the Duke community. You're part of an alumni network. That's a band of cheerleaders. When you walk around campus and see Duke t-shirts, the same excitement you feel is going to be what you feel when you're at an airport, when we're able to go to airports again, and you see someone wearing a Duke t-shirt, or when I see someone wearing a Duke mask. It's a sense of knowing that you're a part of the same community, knowing that you're a part of that spirit and that excitement. With that, I'm going to take a quick drink of water before I start talking about the fun stuff. And when it comes to admissions at Duke, it's our goal to be as transparent and upfront with you as possible. If there were a special formula that I could tell you, I would. I'm going to tell you as much as I can, as honestly I can, how this process works. What you do when you want to apply to Duke, what we do when we review applications, how we build our class, and also briefly touch on financial aid. When it comes to applying to Duke, we're going to have you do a couple of things. First is apply. You can use the common application, coalition application, or Quest Bridge application to apply to Duke. We don't have a preference. Each of those tools allows you to apply to multiple colleges at once. Do whichever one you like better, whichever one your guidance counselor likes better. We do not have a preference. Second thing we're going to have you do is choose if you're applying to the Trinity College of Arts and Sciences or the Pratt School of Engineering. And like I said earlier, there's no core curriculum at Duke, but those two schools do feed into different curricula. Students in Trinity have a flexible liberal arts curriculum. Students in Pratt have an engineering curriculum and a liberal arts curriculum. So when you're thinking if you're going to apply to Trinity or to Pratt, just think, do I want to study engineering or not? And go from there. When you're on campus, you can double major between the two schools. You can switch between the two schools, but it starts your path off when you apply. The third thing we're going to have you do is choose if you're going to apply to Duke through early decision or regular decision. An early decision is a binding program. You apply to us in November, and if you're admitted in December, you're enrolling at Duke. Regular decision is a non-binding program. You apply to us in January, you hear back from us on April 5th, 2021, and we are one of your choices if you're admitted. This process looks the same every year. The dates are going to be a little different than what I'm showing here, but the takeaway is that you're going to apply, and then we're going to review your application holistically. Some of you might be familiar with that word, some of you might not, but essentially what it means is that there's no robot looking at your application. We don't have a formula that we use. There are no data points that we are able to consider because we are looking at every part of every student's application. Real people sit in our pajamas and read every single page, every single letter, every single word of every file from our region. We get a sense of who you are as a student, as a community member, and as somebody who might be a part of the Duke community. We're trying to get a sense of who you are and what you might add to Duke, how you might fit into Duke. And as an office, it's our goal to build a class of students that's interesting and imaginative and intellectually curious, that brings a diversity of perspectives and backgrounds and talents to make campus the place that it is. And as we're doing it, we're going to consider several different elements of your application. I'll start by talking about the academic features that we look at. And that starts with your transcript. So we're going to consider first and foremost the classes that you've taken and the grades that you've gotten in them. When we talk about the rigor of your academic program, the classes that you've chosen to pursue in high school, we hope that you've pursued what your school would consider the most rigorous curriculum available to you within reason. That might look like AP classes or pursuing the IB diploma. Maybe it's doing honors classes or dual enrollment. We see a lot of different schools and a lot of different ways that schools design the way you take classes. So work with your counselor to figure out, is this going to challenge me? And is this going to challenge you across the liberal arts spectrum? If you hate Physics 1, don't take Physics 2, but embrace challenges, get outside of your comfort zone and take advantage of the opportunities that your school has. We're also going to look at the grades in your classes. And you do not need to have straight A's or straight A pluses to get into Duke. We're looking at the story of your transcript, every grade you've received in every academic class you've taken. And we're going to get a sense of how you perform. Most students at Duke are really strong performers, but we also look to see if there's a bump in the road or slow start or lopsidedness. And we're looking at your transcript and not just at like a number like GPA to get that sense. We also look at standardized test scores if they're in your file, because for this upcoming admissions year for applicants through 2021, 2022, so current juniors and rising seniors, we will once again be test optional, which means it's up to you whether or not you want your standardized test scores to be considered as a part of your admissions file. If you want your admissions scores to be considered, we will consider them. And it's something that gives us academic information. We'll look at your SAT scores or your ACT scores, and we super score between ACT and SAT. Whatever is your highest test score is what we're going to consider. If you say no, don't consider my test score, and maybe that's because you're not happy with your score. Maybe it's because you weren't able to take the test. Maybe you just don't want us to consider it. That's fine. We're not going to consider it. It's not part of the conversation. Optional means optional. If you're proud of your test scores, submit them. If you don't have them or you're not proud of them, don't. If they're in your file, they add to that academic understanding. If not, we have a lot of other evidence of your academic achievement. Those academic pieces tell us that you can do the work at Duke, tell us that you're going to be perfectly successful in the classroom. But the truth is a vast majority of applicants to Duke have the academic chops. So what we're looking for is who you are as a person, who you're going to be as a member of the Duke community. And we're going to do that by looking at everything else in your file. We start with letters of recommendation, and we require 2 from teachers and 1 from counselor or college counselor. Those teacher recommendations ideally are from 11th or 12th grade teachers in classes that you liked, teachers who know you well, teachers who liked you and are going to write a nice letter. And we're trying to get a sense of who you are in the classroom. Are you the type of student who raises your hand and says something so profound that everybody else is going to write that down because it's probably going to be on a test? Are you the type of student who your teacher really misses when you graduate because you were the one who was leading the breakout room every single day in class and all of your peers wrote on their peer evaluations? That's what we're trying to glean from those letters. Your counselor letter is going to give us a sense of you in your broader school community. And that letter might be really personal, or it might be kind of generic. Either way, it's just giving us some context about you and your school environment. The next thing we're going to look at are your extracurricular activities. And that's everything that you're doing when you're not in school and you're not sleeping. That might include research or a part-time job or sports or volunteering or being in BBYO or taking care of older siblings, older relatives or younger siblings or older siblings. Whatever it is that you're spending your time doing, whether it's family responsibilities or for fun, tell us about it. We also know extracurricular activities have looked different over the last year. Maybe you didn't have a soccer season, maybe your science research fair was canceled. We get it. Tell us what you would have done if the world had not been virtual. Tell us what you did instead. And maybe you got really into bread baking, or maybe instead of having an in-person Model UN conference, you did it online. We want to know those things. Tell us. No set of activities that we're looking for, no checkboxes. We want to know what you're excited about and what you might do when you get to campus. The last required part of the application we're going to consider are your essays. And at Duke, we require our Duke supplemental essay as well as a long personal statement. When it comes to your required Duke essays, the first one is, why Duke? It asks in 250 words, why do you want to be a part of the Duke community? Be honest, be genuine. Answer that question the same way you would tell your friends or your parents when they ask why you want to come to Duke. Do your research, be specific. Don't write something that you could sub in another school's name, but help us picture you on campus. When I'm reading applications, the first thing I read is the why Duke, because it helps me get a sense of, is this student going to be a great Duke student? So start us off on that right foot. We also have a few optional short response prompts on the Duke supplement. One asks students to talk about a perspective that they hold, so about an identity or a community that informs the way that they see the world. Some students will choose to write about their race or their gender or their religion, or what it's like to be a middle child or a soccer goalie. Whatever it is that you want to share with us, you are absolutely welcome to. We also have a short response prompt that asks you to share about your sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. And same thing there, you're absolutely welcome to share that with us, but those two essays are truly optional. That long personal statement that you're writing for all of your colleges, we don't really care what prompt you use, but answer it and let us get to know you. We want to get a sense of who you are, of self-awareness and reflection. If you love writing, channel that love of writing. If you don't love writing, great. I'm not an English teacher. I'm an admissions officer. We want to hear from you, not your parents, not your counselors, from you. You don't need to articulate a story of trauma. You don't need to say what a challenge was. I've read phenomenal essays about students' favorite foods and their families and their favorite class memory. I've read phenomenal essays reflecting on positionality and identity. Whatever you're interested in sharing with us, that's what we want to learn, and that's what we want to get from that essay. We also are looking at all of those pieces, not in silos in vacuum, but as a whole, to get a sense of who you are and who you might be at Duke. We're looking for students who are ready to come to campus and get going with all the opportunities available for them, who are willing to take risks and be challenged and challenge their peers and learn from their peers and learn with their faculty members, who are imaginative and willing to do something different, who have a change-making spirit. There's not one way to describe a Duke student, and it would be really unfortunate if there were, because that'd be a really boring campus. But we're looking for how you're going to take advantage of what this campus has to offer. Some deadlines that give you a sense of where applications fall. It's going to be a little bit different next year, but in general, early decision applications are due in early November. Typically, it's November 1st or 2nd. This year it was November 16th. We often extend based off a variety of global circumstances, as was this year. You hear back from us in the middle of December. Regular decision applications are often due the beginning of January, usually the first work day of January, and you'll hear from us late March or early April. For early decision, again, that's a binding program. So if you apply to Duke early decision and you're admitted, you're going to be a Duke student. You're committing to Duke. We do deny a majority of early decision applicants because we don't want to string students along, and we want to give you a final decision as soon as possible. And we do defer applications when we're not ready to make a decision on your application yet and need to get back to you in regular decision. For regular decision, the outcomes are admit, waitlist, and deny. Again, I saw a couple of students who were admitted to Duke. So congratulations, regular decision, we're one of your choices. When it comes to the waitlist at Duke, we offer students a space on the waitlist. And it's up to them to choose to accept or decline that spot, and they'll get back to us. And we get back to you if we have a space in the class sometime between April and August. By the numbers, we try to be realistic that Duke is a highly selective institution, and it's really tough to build our class because we have to say no to some really phenomenal students. But it's our goal to build that class of students who are going to bring to the Duke community, bring that diversity and that intellectual spirit. These numbers are from our last admission cycle. From our most recent admission cycle, we had roughly 5,000 early decision applications and an early decision admit rate of about 16.7%. For regular decision, we had a little over 44,000 applications and an admit rate of roughly 4.3%. When it comes to affording a Duke education, we want to really reinforce that Duke can be affordable for families. And if we want you to come to Duke and you want to come to Duke, our financial aid office is going to work with you to get you here. The main takeaways for our financial aid award is that you're going to use the CSS profile and the FAFSA to apply for financial aid. And whatever is not comprised of your family's contribution, our financial aid office is going to make up. A Duke financial award might include work study, might include loans, it might include grants. And all those together are going to come up to a student's total financial aid. And at Duke, a majority of our students do receive need-based aid. So whatever is not your family's contribution, which you can estimate through tools online like My Intuition and the net price calculator, Duke is going to make up. We want to reinforce using the net price calculator, getting in touch with our financial aid office early. They're officers for financial aid who are able to answer questions as early as your sophomore year. If you have them, start exploring Duke's affordability, because we really want to make sure that you do that, because we never want financial inability to be a reason why a student doesn't apply or doesn't attend Duke. Like I mentioned, by the numbers, a majority of our students do receive need-based aid. Majority of our students do graduate debt-free, and our students do have access to financial aid office all through their time at Duke. I'm not a financial aid officer, but you can learn more at finaid.duke.edu for an overview of what that process looks like. On the admission side of things, I'm going to stop sharing. And thank you for letting me give our admissions spiel on. I hope I didn't go too over my time. Our website's admissions.duke.edu. We do virtual visits all the time. You can meet current students. You can watch a full-length information session. And we want you to get to know us even more. This is truly our fastest overview I could do. But it's a place that I've been for 8 years now and absolutely love. And I think these guys here are going to tell you how much they love it too.
Yeah, Ilana, thank you so much. I got a little bit stressed out listening to some of the stats. So if everyone's a little bit stressed out, I think that's okay. And as all of us have been through the process, I think parts of it are stressful, but it was definitely worth it, at least for me. I'm sure everyone else on here will agree. So moving over to something maybe a little bit less stressful, I think Sophie is going to talk about Jewish life at Duke.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, I'm sure that was a little bit overwhelming for some of you, especially as we're like just starting the process. But like Brooke said, I hope we can show you just how worth it all is. So what is Jewish life at Duke? Jewish life at Duke, or JLD as we call it, is what we call our Hillel. So the heart of JLD is the Freeman Center, which is actually where I am right now, and can show you later if anyone's interested. It's a big, beautiful 2-story building right near campus where lots of fun events take place, including Shabbats, holiday services, social programming, etc. And there is a full kosher kitchen and dining area because obviously food is very important and essential to us. And the kosher dining is part of Duke's meal plan, and students are always welcome to come get free meals every Shabbat and on holidays. So JLD basically oversees the various Jewish student organizations on campus, such as Jewish Student Union, Challah for Hunger, J Street, many others. And it also offers several programs such as JFAM, which is where first years are paired up with upperclassmen mentors, and the Jewish Learning Fellowship, or JLF, for students to connect and learn together. And I'm supposed to keep it brief here, so please feel free to ask me questions later about any of these programs that you're interested in. And there are so many other opportunities that I could name, but it would take me forever, and you can definitely find that information on our website. But what I really want to convey to you in my brief time here is the way that JLZ really makes the students feel. It's our home away from home. It's an incredibly welcoming and inclusive space for all the students, Jewish, non-Jewish. Everyone is welcome to come together and celebrate each other, celebrate Judaism. It has an amazing staff, including the beyond amazing Rabbi Elana, who's here, and Aviv, and everybody who clearly care so much about every single student. And JLD has just been like an incredibly crucial part of my Duke experience, and I'm so thankful to be part of this community. And again, if there's anything that anyone wants me to expand on later during the panel, please feel free to ask.
Sophie, thank you so much for that. It definitely was like a speed through overview, and I'm sure people will have more questions that we'll be able to throw back your way. Yeah, so I think that is all our like scheduled or more formal programming that we had for you. Now, if you have any questions, again, about Jewish life, about anything Sophie said, about anything Ilana said, or anything Rabbi said, something else that no one has talked about yet, just drop them in the chat to me or to any of the other panelists, and we'll try to kind of hand them off. But if you can send them to me, that would be the best. Yeah, and so we'll just wait for some questions to come in. I think maybe in the meantime, I think a typical question is, what is your favorite thing about Jewish life at Duke? So while we're waiting for other questions to come in, I think, Dan, do you want to start us by answering that one?
Of course, I'd love to. I think one of my favorite things about Jewish life at Duke, which is not what I would have answered or thought that I'd be entering before I entered, was Shabbat, weekly Shabbats. As I kind of hinted at the beginning, I'm now part of the Shabbat squad, where we help organize and lead Shabbat every week. And coming in, I really just did not expect to connect very much with Shabbat services, but it's such a warm and welcoming time. We start with a song session where we can just have fun, sing songs both in Hebrew and in English. It feels very much, if you did like youth group or camp, then it's very much like a youth group or camp kind of vibe. Then we go in and do services that are kind of a mix of a lot of different like practices. So it has a little bit that you could argue is of the realm of reform, some things that are of the realm of conservative, but it really is a mashup of everything. And it allows everyone to pray at the same time. And so all of my friends, regardless of what tradition we grew up in, are able to pray together. And it's such a fun time. And I've loved it for the past 4 years.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can definitely echo that. I also adore Shabbat. I think the next question, someone asked if we could talk more about JFAM, which, Sophie, I feel like that is your arena.
Yeah, so JFAM is the Jewish First Year Advisory Mentorship Program. It's a mouthful, so we just call it JFAM because it's more fun anyway. And it's where we, before the first years even step foot on campus, we, over the summer, are working hard, the Jewish Student Union, to pair first years with upperclassmen Jewish mentors. And like overall, it's just to have an upperclassman be a mentor and a leader and like introduce you, kind of be like a jumping off point into Jewish life. But we have, in normal circumstances where not everything is virtual, we have a big JFAM barbecue at the beginning of the year during O Week, which is where everyone comes and meets each other. We have like matching shirts that say JFAM. We give out little gifts, little swag to everybody, and it's so much fun. And we eat barbecue and we have a great time. And then we also later on in the year will have usually a JFAM ice cream social where everyone reunites again together and has a big ice cream party. And just throughout the year, it's kind of up to the upperclassmen to meet up with their first years that they've been assigned to, and have lunch with them, have coffee with them, have little programs with them, and just basically just be a resource and just Jewish life and about anything else. So it's really fun that it starts so early on, that you have a friendly face on campus before you even get there. And I know I appreciated that so much when I was a first year. So I think it's a really great program.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sophie. I know like being involved with JFAM was such a fun part of my past 4 years, especially the barbecue during a week. Yoni, will you answer? We have a question. Does JLD offer any opportunities to visit Israel?
Yeah, so JLD actually, part of our faculty and staff, we have a member named Reuven, who is our Israel fellow. And his job is basically to, talk about Israel and kind of bring culture and Israeli politics to campus and just kind of teach students about it, whoever wants to engage with it. And part of that actually is he organizes a trip every year through Birthright. Every summer, a group of Duke students, I think the last trip was about 25 or so folks, but you head to Israel and you spend 10 days there. The trip is completely free. You hit all the top sites, you do all the top things, and you kind of get to learn about Israel and about Israeli culture. Unfortunately, I signed up for this past summer, and we had to cancel our trip for some obvious reasons. But I'm very hopeful that maybe by next summer we'll all be able to go back and get to go again. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Great. Yeah, I'm hoping that you also get to go, Yoni. I think Birthright is a great experience. Rabbi, this one's more of a question about like percentages, I guess. I'm going to throw it your way. Maybe someone asked, are most people Reform, conservative, or Orthodox? So I think maybe I have an intuition, but I feel like you would know more.
Now I want to know what your intuition is, Brooke. You guys are on the ground. You know more than me.
Well, I think, we know that like at high holidays and things, we have like Reform and conservative services. So I would say it's probably split evenly between the two. And then there are Orthodox people, but probably a smaller portion would be my guess.
Brooke, since you're a math major and have done Data Plus, I'm very impressed that you've taken your research seriously. And I think that's accurate. We like high holidays is a good sample size, right? We have a Reform service and we have a conservative service during the high holidays, and we actually come together for a few services in the middle of that. And the rooms are kind of split 50-50 more or less. There are moments where the Reform service has more people, so we could argue there's a touch more Reform in our Jewish student population, and then there is a smaller number of Orthodox students or students who come from a traditional background. But we have a really diverse campus of denominations. And then there are students, I will say, who I don't identify as Reform, conservative, Orthodox, and just identify, as Birthright calls it, just Jewish. And students who are on, a Jewish path that can't be labeled. And the big thing, as Dan mentioned with Shabbat, our kind of big belief here at Jewish Life as Duke is that we are pluralistic and all students are welcome, no matter what their background or affiliation, and students are equal in their participation and knowledge, because we all come at Judaism from different places, and we just want to be together in one community and create something special with that.
Thanks, Rabbi. That was so beautiful. I feel like you brought like the human side to the numbers. Yeah, I think another question, Sophie, this was probably also for you, was if there are any like orientation programs for Jewish students specifically, which I don't know if you want to talk about that, or maybe more about the specific part of JFAM that is like intro to freshman's experience.
Wait, is this a question for my computer keeps freezing? Is this a question for me?
Yes, I think someone asked specifically about orientation programs to help freshmen connect. Oh no, are you still with us?
I'm so sorry. I think I'm gonna switch Wi-Fi really quick.
Yeah, no worries. I think I can just go ahead. Okay, I think, let's see. Ilana, do you want to talk about, sorry, I think mine is also freezing now. I think so for the orientation question, we currently don't have a like pre-O or like a pre-orientation program for specifically just Jewish students, but I think Sophie talked some about during O week or like orientation week when freshmen are on campus before classes start. And the key is really for you to be able to adjust and get used to Duke and kind of have an intro to everything that exists here. That's when the JFAM barbecue takes place, which is really like your welcoming into the Jewish community and kind of your intro to Jewish life at Duke. I think Sophie maybe would have explained it better, but that is a general oversight of kind of what it is. I think we had another question, maybe Dan, if you want to talk about it, about opportunities for the Jewish community through Duke to do community service work.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So that's really, there's a lot of different ways that through the Jewish community you can connect with community service. One of the things that Jewish Student Union used to do before the pandemic, obviously, was called Atria Walk Shabbats, where they would, we would have a delegation of students go to a assisted living facility and celebrate Shabbat with the residents there, and just be able to kind of have that moment to share Shabbat and share our songs and share our prayers with the residents there. And that was a really cool experience. I was able to go a couple times and it was a ton of fun. There's also, and Yoni can talk about this if anyone's interested, Challah for Hunger is one of the main community service I would say organizations that falls under Jewish Life's umbrella. So they basically do monthly challah bakes and sell them on the Bryan Center Plaza to raise money for hunger charities, both local and more national. And so that's a really cool way to do something that's super fun, which is hang out for an hour or two with your friends baking challah, but also make a big difference because that money goes to helping to fight hunger. And so Jewish Student Union always has a member of their executive board that's in charge of community service. And so Jewish Student Union is always open to learning about other ways that we can encourage community service. But those are a couple things that we've done in the past.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like that was such a comprehensive answer about like different ways you can get involved. A next question that we have was about how we handle and how we celebrate holidays on campus. So Rabbi talked some about high holidays, but if someone, maybe Yoni, wants to talk about either like Passover or Hanukkah or a different like non-high holiday that's not Shabbat.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I can say honestly that I'm not the most frequent visitor at Shabbat, but I do attend all the holiday events. And they're one of my favorite things on campus. So for Hanukkah, we have something called Latkapalooza, which is this really fun event. Does anybody know the exact number of how many latkes we actually eat at that event?
A profane amount.
A profane amount, and jelly donuts. So basically, it's an opportunity. We all meet up on West Campus, and it's an event with food and music and dance and photos, and that's a really good, really fun time. Something else that's really cool. We do have Passover Seders that are run through Jewish Life at Duke, and those are really fantastic. Something else that I've really enjoyed about Passover is that if you choose to be involved with Greek Life a lot of fraternities and sororities will host their own Seders, which are sponsored by Jewish Life at Duke. And basically that kind of gives you an opportunity to get together with a smaller group of friends, or acquaintances in somebody's home or apartment and kind of celebrate Passover in your own way. That's not necessarily through Jewish Life, but supported by Jewish Life. I got to host one of those Seders my first year on campus. And it was one of my favorite Jewish moments on campus, even though it wasn't necessarily at the building. But there's obviously tons of different ways to get involved with Jewish Life, not just through the actual building. But yeah, hopefully I answered a couple of those things.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. Thank you. Latkapalooza, great. I always love wearing my like ugly Hanukkah sweater. I think that's also a highlight of the event. Rabbi, we have a few more questions for you. One of them being how many observant Jews are on campus, which I think is kind of a subjective term, but I don't know how. I figure you have something to say on it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I wouldn't say that there are many. I would say there are a handful and different levels of observance. There are students who have varying levels of keeping Shabbat, of being Shomer Shabbat. There are more students who are Shomer Kashrut, who keep kosher. But I would not say it is a deep Shomer Shabbat community, although that doesn't mean that students don't observe Shabbat. As you can see, the students who have talked about, Friday night being their Shabbat time together. But there is not a big Shabbat morning, Saturday morning Shabbat culture. So people should know that. Doesn't mean that there can't be in the future. And I've always said this to folks that, we're the kind of place that if you have ideas and if you have things you want to start or a community that you want to help build, we're a place that you can do that and we can help you do that. But it is not a deep Saturday morning culture as it is. We have great synagogues also that are close to campus that we partner with often around some of these more kind of holiday type moments. So we'll do Simchat Torah on occasion with a local synagogue, or students who want to daven Saturday mornings will go over to Bethel, which is a synagogue right off East Campus. It's always fun to daven with your professors sitting right next to you, because a lot of the faculty also go there. So that can be a real treat, or maybe not, depending on your view and if you turned in that paper you were supposed to turn in to them. So that's my short answer. Again, we don't take surveys of our students' observance levels and that kind of thing. So it's a little bit more anecdotal, but it's not a huge observant community. Different type of observance.
I knew you would know things and be able to say things on that. So the next question, kind of switching gears a bit, is about Greek life at Duke. I think, Yoni, you kind of mentioned this, but someone was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about what that looks like and maybe your personal experience.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I'm no longer part of a fraternity. I decided to not be part of my fraternity this summer, which was a choice that a lot of members of Greek life made. That being said, Greek life is still a thing that is on campus. I really enjoyed my experience with Greek life, and I know that a lot of people also. I think that maybe it's around 20 to 30% of folks on campus who are part of Greek life. Maybe Ilana knows better than I do in terms of percentages.
Yeah, it's a bit tough to calculate that at this point. Greek life at Duke is shifting. There's some really excellent coverage in the Duke Chronicle, which is our school independently run, student-run newspaper, where you can sort of learn about that. Greek life had been around 35% for several years, but has been sort of trending down or lowering in percentage for some time now. Our best estimate is roughly 20%, but that is truly an estimate because we can't calculate it at this point.
Yeah, thanks. And that being said, while it is around 20 or so percent, there are tons and tons of opportunities to engage in nightlife and other sorts of social activities that aren't related to Greek life. There's not this kind of dichotomy like there are on other campuses where either you're in frat or you're not. And I think that people have really diverse friend groups in the same way where you may be in a fraternity or a sorority and all your friends may not be. So I wouldn't say that, you kind of get stuck into a specific silo per se. That being said, if it is something that you choose to partake in, people do have really good experiences. And if somebody wants to private message me more specific questions about it, I'd be happy to answer that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yoni, especially since it is something that is kind of changing and harder to speak about in this specific moment. We have another question about kosher dining. So I think maybe Rabbi, specifically in the time of COVID, even though hopefully by next fall that won't be a concern for new classes.
Brooke, the question was, is there kosher dining, or how does it work, or is it just?
How does it work?
Okay,
Because
yeah. Yeah, I was like, I'll tell you what to order. Don't do open-ended. Okay, so kosher dining. So we in the Friedman Center for Jewish Life, which Sophie's sitting in right now, we have a full kosher kitchen that's run by Duke Dining, because the Friedman Center is part of Duke's campus, and Jewish Life at Duke is part of the university. So we are on the Duke meal plan. So you don't have to have a separate meal plan, just like you would pay for a meal in Marketplace or wherever on campus. You would similarly use your same ID swipe to use your points or whatever at the Friedman Center Cafe. In non-pandemic times, it was a all-you-can-eat kind of place, and you'd come and have a big dinner and eat a lot of food. In pandemic times, we've actually switched to a la carte as a cafe where you can order whatever you want on a mobile app. And then you pick up either at the Friedman Center, since our building is often closed because of the pandemic and COVID restrictions, or you can pick up on West Campus. So it's been a pretty interesting shift for us. And I Don't know what the future holds, but I imagine that we might stick with this a la carte version because students are loving being able to order exactly what they want for lunch and for dinner. So on our menu has an array of delicious, delicious food, a little Mediterranean, Middle Eastern inspired, some classic Ashkenazi Jewish food. Maybe one of our awesome staff members will drop the menu in the chat for those who are curious, because it's really yummy. And also I'm a little hungry for dinner, so maybe that's what's happening right now. But most of the food is a meat menu. We do have a dairy kitchen as well. And sometimes we'll shift over to that for our famous mac and cheese and that sort of thing. I will say for holidays, including high holidays, Shabbat every single week, Passover, and pretty much a lot of different occasions, all of our food is free for students. So you just need to pre-order on time so that we can tell our kitchen how much food to prepare, but you can have free Shabbat dinner every single Friday night. We're super committed to making sure that happens for all of our students. And then that is also true for all high holiday meals, for all Passover holiday meals during the week. You have to pay for most of the meals, but you know, the big ones, the seders, we got you covered on that. So, you know, it's a definite place that not just Jewish students also eat the food. It's a place that a lot of people enjoy eating and you know, dining with their Jewish and non-Jewish friends, because it's pretty good.
Yeah, wow. I'm so surprised and like excited, but also jealous to hear that you're going to stick with the a la carte mobile order, like the way of the future, right as I'm leaving. It's kind of rude, but that's fine.
You'll be back,
I think
Brooke. You'll be back.
You're right. Hopefully. Yeah, but I think you talked a lot about the Freeman Center. So I think it would be great, Sophie, if you feel like your Wi-Fi is up to it, if you want to give us a little tour. I haven't seen it in a year, so I'm excited.
First, I'll put my mask on for safety. Currently, I am in not a super exciting place, just like the offices area, but maybe I should put my glasses on so I can see. Okay. Okay, here we are. I'm gonna show you the more fun stuff in a second. I promise you're not missing anything super exciting in here. It's also very dark. And do I know? Oh, so here we have JLF going on. I'm gonna be quiet because there's a class going on and I know it's really dark. Sorry, stay with me. I'll be in the light in a second. But we have JLF Israel, which is the Jewish Learning Fellowship, which I talked about earlier. They're all probably gonna be like, what is happening right now? But I'm just gonna show you. This is the sanctuary. Okay, that was weird. I'm gonna come over here now. So this is our lounge. I know, Rabbi Elana, where do I turn the lights on for in this main area?
Sophie, behind you, I think. As if you're going to the bathrooms, there's a bunch of light switches.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I feel like we're in an escape room.
Sorry, I've never had to turn the lights on in here. There they are. Do song session before Shabbat. Sometimes over here, sometimes over here. This which are crowd favorite and my Frozen.
I think we're losing you a little bit.
I know. I realized that I'm on my phone hotspot, and what I didn't bring with me was my phone. Which is so intelligent, but it's fine because I'm gonna go really, really fast. Everyone hang tight with me. Thanks, you're all the best. Okay, I'm running back with my phone this time because
I love that you're really running through it.
It's an escape room, Brooke. She's got to go
Okay,
quickly.
Cool. Okay, anyway, so here we sometimes over here makes our home. I'll paint markers.
Sophie, I think we're still having a hard time seeing you. Can you hear me?
Hold on.
Oh no. I can tell she's giving such a good tour too, and we're just missing it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think we're maybe unsure.
Yes, no?
I think not so much,
Medium?
sadly.
Okay.
Sophie, you could just walk around and we'll narrate when you unfreeze for things that we're like, ooh, look at that. Slash, it's not really working.
I think maybe we could answer questions, the three of us, and then when Sophie comes back, we can include her again as well. I think one general question in the chat is why we chose Duke, maybe specifically for students who got in yesterday, Mazel Tov, and are trying to make that decision. Dan, do you want to like jump in and talk about that decision for you?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about why I chose Duke. And that kind of changed over the course of when I was going through the application process. So I first got interested in Duke because I have family who attended, my grandpa attended as well as my uncle. And so that's what kind of put Duke on the radar for me. But as I was researching schools I wanted to apply to, I fell in love with the atmosphere of Duke and specifically how much, just kind of how much it's collaborative versus cutthroat, which is something that Ilana kind of touched on, but really I felt that through my tour that I went on and kind of talking to current students while I was a high schooler. I also fell in love with the basketball atmosphere and how much that's something that unites all of the students, and not all of the students. If you're not into sports, you're not going to be like ostracized and excluded, but it really is such a thing that like no one enters Duke like really caring that much about college basketball, and 3/4 of students leave caring about college basketball because it's just such a like uniting process for us. It's so much fun to be in the student section, to cheer on our team, to watch us win really cool games. And it's just such a fun atmosphere where everyone just wants to work together, to be friends, to support each other, to be welcoming. And so I just fell in love with that atmosphere.
Can everyone see me here? Because I'm at the top of the stairs here, so you can get a good bird's eye view of the Freeman Center. Our Israel fellow Ruben is like actually helping me turn the lights on, so hopefully you can see. I'm frozen again. Oh, I'm not frozen? Okay.
No, that was
Cool.
great.
Oh, okay. I thought I was frozen. Sorry, everyone was so still. Okay. Here's where our dining takes place. Going down the stairs. So here's a kitchen, is back here. I won't, take you all the way through it because it's not that open looking right now, but it's back here. And then we normally eat over here on Shabbat. And we have like our big B'nai Mitzvah event here in this space usually. A very big, spacious building, as you can see, for so many fun events to take place. And then we have the patio. Yeah, I'll go there. We have the patio over here, which is a whole nice big area. I'm afraid to go outside because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my Wi-Fi. Now I'm going back upstairs because we have a lounge that I will show you. I should have showed you while I was already up there, but I'm getting my steps in. Okay, back past the bean bags. The the famous. Here's another little patio area. So many, I'm out of breath. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's Ruben. Here's our lounge, more bean bags, what? And we have games, we have printer, we have TV, we have bean bags. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. We have a beautiful view over here. And also, oh, look, here's the bus. Wait, there it is. There's the bus that you will be going on. As you can see, it drives right past, well, it will stop at Freeman if you want it to stop at Freeman. You won't have to like jump out. But there's a stop right here. Very convenient for getting to the Freeman Center. And here are all the JFAM shirts up here framed. I told you we had shirts and swag. Here's proof. Oh, okay.
Thank you so much.
We have like classrooms and libraries as well. Just wanted to throw that out there, but I know we're going over time, so hope that was good. Sorry about the technical issues at the beginning.
No, thank you. That was so perfect. And I feel like so important to show what I think is most important is the bean bags. I'm so glad that they got airtime. Those are my favorite to nap on right before Shabbat. And then Rabbi would wake me up to go inside. Anyway, we were talking about why we chose Duke. And I think Sophie's out of breath still, so I'm gonna give her a second catch our breath. But Yoni, if you want to answer that, and then I think we'll be right about ready to wrap up. Is that right? Timing wise? Okay.
Yeah. So I went to a pretty small high school. My graduating class had 80 people in it. So out of high school, I was really looking for something a little bigger, kind of a place where I didn't necessarily know everybody and could meet new people. And looking through a bunch of different schools, I really found that at Duke, it's the kind of place where you always see somebody wherever you go, but you also see somebody who you don't know. So it's kind of that like perfect middle between a big school and a small school. And it does have that really big school feeling. You know, we have a really beautiful football stadium, and we have an incredible basketball team. Maybe not so much this year, but usually we do. So, you know, it did have all those aspects of like a big school with like sports and everything like that, as well as a really top tier, it's a really top tier research institute, and the hospital is so close. I'm pre-medicine, so that was really important to me as well to kind of get those experiences. But it also did offer a really awesome like small knit community and a liberal arts education that Ilana was talking about earlier. So I'm a psych major, but I also do music classes, and I take classes in cultural anthropology and sociology and all sorts of different topics. So it kind of hit all those boxes for me. And yeah, so I mean, it's a really incredible place. I'll admit that sometimes it gets pretty hard just with any other school. But just like to bring it back, I guess, to like JSU and JLD, I've always found a really awesome community within the Jewish community. And I don't remember who actually said it, but it really is a home away from home. And it's really been a place of comfort for me throughout these past 3 years and for this last year as well. So if you get the opportunity to come here, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yoni. I feel like you touched on so many important things. And then also, Ilana, if you want to talk about as an alum, like what drew you to Duke, and maybe like looking back, what your favorite things were?
Sure. There's a reason why I still live in Durham and used to go to Duke every day. Now I telecommute to Duke every day. And it's the same reason why I came here in the first place. When I toured Duke now, like a long time ago, over 10 years ago, I could still tell you everything about my tour guide. She was an econ major with a theater minor who did Duke and London drama and was on DUSDAC, which does like food stuff on campus. And that's not how college tours typically were. And we walked around and I felt like this could be my place. And when I got in, I knew immediately that this was going to be a place for me. Like you've heard, this is a warm and supportive place. And when you walk around, people are smiling and they say hello to you and they're wearing their Duke t-shirts. And some of the students who I work with who've been to other schools, or when we hear our tour guides talk about their experiences at other schools, they talk about like the Charlie Brown music and sadness and heavy book bags. And that's not to say that life at Duke is always easygoing. It is an intense and exciting place, and students do a lot. This is a school that students are really busy at, and where they're really involved and sometimes overextended. But that sometimes overextension means that students are taking advantage of opportunities and thrilled to try new things and meet new people. And everywhere you turn, it's not that everybody at Duke is extroverted, but they're willing to connect with you. And I felt that as an undergrad. I feel that as an alumna. I feel that as an employee. When I go to alum events, they ask questions about what life is like at Duke now and what's happening on campus and how they can be involved. There's a reason why so many of our students do alum interviews, and it's because our alumni love talking about Duke. We don't joke around when we say like camaraderie sticks with you, and you care about Duke basketball, even if you care about 0 other sports, and you were devastated in March. I was looking around for my little light up Duke Blue Devil horns because they're always around. Duke becomes a part of who you are. And I think that that sense of spirit is something that is why I came to Duke and why I'm still here.
That was so nice, especially as a senior who's about to leave. It was nice to hear you talk about the nice things at Duke that stick with you even after you're not a student anymore. Rabbi, do you have anything that you kind of want to leave the prospective students with before I just kind of wrap us up?
I'll just say that what Ilana just said translates super well to the Jewish community at Duke. So if you were to, I mean, it's not a perfect, but almost perfect, say that, the Jewish community at Duke is also a really loving and tight community that people are connected to each other and care about one another and look forward to seeing one another, whether they're Shabbat goers or just involved with JSU or Challah for Hunger or the Coalition for Preserving Memory or one of our Israel groups. Students are involved and engaged, and we try to create a place where everybody feels welcome, no matter where their background, and everyone feels included, no matter what their interest level. And we hope to be that for people on their Jewish journey while they're at Duke. And, our alumni are still involved with us too, in the same kind of way, because we want to be a home for Jewish students, for parents of Duke students, and also for alumni and staff and faculty. So we hope to build a community while you're at Duke. Hopefully you'll be joining us. I'm not in charge of admissions, but I would admit all of you, just to be super clear. And I would be so delighted to have you be part of our Jewish Duke community. So you all get in according to me. You could put that in your essay. I'm sure Ilana would love that. So.
Rabbi, thank you so much. I just can only echo everything you said about, especially just the Jewish community being such a caring and supportive atmosphere. Like through my past 4 years, that has only been so true. And I'm very bittersweet to be leaving, but so lucky to feel like I've really benefited from it. And I hope all of you on this call get that opportunity as well. So we hope that this was educational and that you learned a lot. Follow us, shameless plug, on Instagram and Facebook at Jewish Life at Duke. We have student takeovers every Tuesday. So a week from today, that will be our next one. And reach out to us with any further questions we didn't get to answer today at jewishlife@duke.edu. So we hope this was informative, and follow us and hit us up with anything else. Thank you guys so much for spending this hour with us.